Good afternoon. Today I'm going to be doing a story especially for Rehan. Rehan, thank you for asking me to do a story for you today. So, this story is about a nanny goat, her 7 little kids, and a big bad wolf. So, once upon a time, in a dark and beautiful, lush green forest, lived a nanny goat and her 7 little kids. Before Nanny Goat's husband, the ram, was taken away on a ship somewhere, he had planted lots and lots of food bearing plants and fruit trees and vegetable patches and fields of flowers and papaya trees and banana trees and watermelons, all sorts of things for his wife and his children to enjoy. So Nanny never really had to leave her babies alone and go anywhere because there was always food all around them for them to eat. But there was in that forest a big, hairy, grotesque, fearsome wolf. Now this wolf had his eye on these 7 little kids. You see, he loved eating kid. But the thing is that Nanny would never leave them alone. The wolf would sit there waiting, watching, wondering when she would leave to go to the market to get some things from the village. But Nanny just never seemed to leave. Wolf figured out that Nanny was getting all her food from the land around her. The vegetable patches, the fruit trees, the flowers. So what he started to do was, every night, he stole into their garden and he'd eat up some of their vegetables and fruits, which he really didn't like. But he just wanted their food source to get over. One morning, Nanny woke up, woke the kids, and went out into the garden to get breakfast. And she looked around. To her surprise, there was nothing to eat. The flowers were gone. The fruits were gone. The vegetables were gone. There was only grass. And her kids did not want to eat just grass. So Nanny gathered all the kids up and then she looked at them and she said, "Now, listen, my children. I need to go to the market in the village to get some new seeds." So the kids looked up at her and said, "Oh, cool, Mama. You're gonna leave us alone. What fun. We've never been alone till now." And Nanny looks at them and says, "Well, my children, yes, but the reason I haven't left you alone is that there's a big, bad wolf who's waiting to get you." So the kids looked at her and said, "We're not afraid of no wolf. The 7 of us are big enough and strong enough to fight him off." And Nanny looked at them and said, "Do not underestimate the wolf. He is very scary." So the children looked at her and said, "Oh, Mama, we'll be careful. We won't open the door to him. We'll just paddle up the door and lock ourselves in till you get back." And Nanny looked at them and said, "Well, there are 2 ways to know if it's him. Number 1, he has a gruff voice. And number 2, he has black paws. So the children looked up at the kids looked up at her and said, "All right, gruff voice, black paws. We got that." And Mum went off and said, "All right." She said, "All right, I'm off then." And she left and trotted all the way down to the village, which was a while away. The wolf, who had been watching all of this in glee, was so excited. He couldn't wait to eat some kid. So as soon as he knew Mama was far away and couldn't hear the kids, he went up to the house and knocked on the door. And when the kids heard him, they called out, "Who goes there?" And the wolf replied and said, "It is your friendly neighborhood dog." And the kids said, "Oh, we know it's you, Wolf. You've got a gruff voice. We're not opening the door to you. Go away." And the wolf was so angry at not getting to eat some kid that he ran all the way to the village. And he said, "Gruff voice? That means they can recognize my voice." So he went to the village and he went to the piano tuner's house. You know what a piano tuner is? It's someone who tightens the chords on the piano so that they play well and the piano sounds good. So he went to the piano tuner's house and rapped on the door. And the piano tuner opened the door and looked at the big bad wolf and said, "How can I help you?" And the wolf looked at him and said, "Chill. I don't eat man. It's the kids I want." So the piano tuner looked at him and said, "All right, but what do you want with me, though?" And the wolf looked at him and said, "I want you to tune my vocal cords." So the piano tuner looked at him and said, "Tune your vocal cords? That would mean I would have to put my hands into your mouth." And the wolf said, "Oh, well then, go ahead. Don't worry, I don't bite." And the piano tuner put his hand into the wolf's mouth, went down to the vocal cords, and tweak, 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 tweak. He tweaked all the vocal cords and looked at the wolf and said, "Well, try them out now." And the wolf looked at him and said, "I thank you, thank you, thank you." And he was amazed. His voice sounded like a soprano. He ran back to the forest and went up to the wolf to the kid's house and went and called out, "Oh, little children, kids, it is your Auntie Myri." And the kids stood at the door and listened and said, "Hey, we don't know no Auntie Myri. Who's there?" So the wolf says, "It's me, it's me, it's me. I've brought you something to eat." And the kids looked and said, "Well, let us see you through the window." And the wolf went to the window and put his paws up to climb up onto the windowsill. And the kids saw the black paws. And they screamed and shouted and said, "Get away from here, you nasty wolf! We hate you! You tried to trick us! We know you've got black paws! Get away from here! We're not going to open the door!" The wolf was so angry that he hadn't gotten any kid that he ran back to the village and he ran to the beauty parlor. Now, You know what mums are like, right? So Nanny, after she'd done all her seed shopping, decided to go and get a facial. So she went to the beauty parlor. And when the wolf got there, Nanny had cucumbers on her eyelids and a mask on her face, and she was having her hair done and all of that. And the wolf went to the door and of the beauty parlor, and everybody in the beauty parlor went, "Ah!" But then when they heard his voice, everything changed. And he looked and said, "I need some bleaching done. Can you do my nails and fingers, paws?" And the beauty parlor girls were like, "Okay." And they took tubs of bleach, they dunked his paws in the bleach, and they shook them around like that. And then after 10 minutes, they took his paws out, and voila! The paws were shining, gleaming white. The wolf looked at them and said, "As payment, I just won't eat you," and ran away, didn't even pay. He went charging down to the forest, went back to the kid's house, and went and knocked on the door again. And the kid said, "Who's there?" And the wolf knew he couldn't speak because they'd know it was him. So he went to the window and with one paw rapped on the window pane and whispered, "It's Mama. Open the door. I don't want the wolf to know I'm back." And the kids quickly opened the door, and to their horror, who was standing there but the big bad wolf? Oh my goodness. He came into the house and whoop, 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 whoop. He swallowed, without even chewing, 6 kids. But the 7th little kid, whose name was Bing, had gone to do wee-wee. And while he was in the washroom, the wolf wolfed down all his siblings. And then the wolf was so full that he waddled off to the riverbank. He was thirsty too. And he was so tired and so overcome with sleep that he plopped down under a banyan tree by the riverbank and started snoring loudly. He was fast asleep, so asleep he could have been dead. When Bing Bing came out of the washroom and looked around for his siblings, he called out to them, "Bang, bang, boom, boom, bing, bing, boing, boing, boom, boom, bang, bang. Oh, where are all of you? Where are all of you? Oh, no, don't tell me I'm the only one left. Has the wolf eaten you all up? Mama!" He cried so loudly that his mama heard him all the way in the village. And you know mums, if any mum's baby cries like that, the mum just charged home. You would have thought she had wings in her feet. She ran and got back to the door, banged open the door and said, "Bing, what happened?" And Bing was sitting on the floor. And Mama looked at him and said, "Where are your siblings?" And Bing Bing said, "Gone." Mama just tucked Bing under her arm, went to the kitchen, took out a pair of scissors, and ran out of the house, saying, "Nobody takes any of my kids." And she ran in search of the wolf. As she approached the river, from afar off, she could see this huge mound underneath a tree. As she approached, she realized it was the wolf, whose tummy was as big as a hill. She approached gently and quietly, didn't want him to know she was there, but he was snoring so loudly he wouldn't have heard anything. She crawled up to him. She took a scissor and snipped at one side of his stomach, and a hoof popped out, and then a head popped out. Mama! Her kids were alive! She quickly snipped open the whole stomach, pulled out all her kids, and then they decided to teach this wolf a lesson. They took 7 rocks, put them in his stomach. She took a vine from the banyan tree, stitched up his stomach, and they went home. An hour later, the wolf woke up, parched with thirst, got up, and there was this rumble in his tummy, and he wondered, oh my gosh, these kids feel as heavy as rocks. And he ambled and waddled down to the river to have a drink of water. And as he put his head down to drink from the river, the rocks catapulted and threw him into the river, and he floated off downstream. Nobody knows if he died or if he survived, but with rocks in his stomach, I don't think he's going to live too long. And that's the end of this story. I hope you enjoyed that, Rehan. Thank you. And if you like that story, do subscribe. Bye.